I got one more thing I want to pop in here that it's very short, but it's a really great story. Um, Ohio legalized basic constitutional carry back in 2022. And there's a whole report here that we could play, but I'm not going to worry too much about that because End Wokeness here actually has the stats. And I checked them out. They're all correct. So far, gun violence in 6 of their 8 largest cities have dropped, like dramatically dropped. There has been an increase in those other 2 cities, but they were by about like 3 and 5% around that range. But Columbus, Ohio, down 12%. Cleveland, down 6. Toledo, down 18. Akron, down 18. I guess that's Parma. Do you think that's how it's pronounced? I've never been over there.
That's what I would say.
Okay, Parma, down 22. I mean, come on. And Canton, down 5. Massive decrease in crime, all because of legalizing constitutional carry. We are, there's a lot of ways we are still kind of up against the ropes, especially when it comes to stuff like illegal immigration, when it comes to them trying to jail, of course, Trump for nonsense crimes. One issue that we have been winning time and time again recently has been on the battle of the Second Amendment. So many states have instituted constitutional carry. In fact, right here is from the USCCA showing all the states that have constitutional carry now as law. We are at, I believe, is 26 states. We have reached the majority of states having constitutional carry. Now, of course, North Carolina, no, but we've still made progress in North Carolina, actually. When it comes to the fact of, if I wanted to buy a handgun, I would have had to go up to a sheriff and say, please, Mr. Sheriff, allow me to have my Second Amendment rights. I really just want to practice what the Constitution has given me the ability to practice, or just how to, or it protects, actually, because again, it doesn't give you the ability, it just enshrines the protection of that basic right. I would have had to go to a sheriff and beg for permission to be allowed to go buy my handgun. Not anymore in North Carolina. But look at all these states right now. All of the green is constitutional carry. We are winning when it comes to a Second Amendment. And we are making so many advances. I really think we're going to see a time in this country where SBRs, short barrel rifles, will probably eventually get legalized because there's no sense that they shouldn't be, considering the fact they are the best home defense weapon there is. And hopefully we'll get to a point where it'll be easier to obtain, of course, actual like automatic weapons. Because right now it's not easy whatsoever. Hopefully we'll get to a point where we can actually import newer firearms into the country that are, because right now it's there's a lot of issues when it comes to importing new firearms, which is why all automatic weapons you see are normally from before that ban, because it's illegal. They've been grandfathered in. You can't bring any of the newer ones in. But I really think we're making so much headway when it comes to this. And with stories like this popping up saying, of course, all the crime that drops when you pass constitutional carry, it does nothing but help our case. And once people get a taste of actual freedom, once people have the ability to actually walk around and be protected, they're not going to want to just give that up as easily next time. I mean, we made the mistake back, heck, I think it was Reagan who actually got rid of a bunch of our firearms too. So even Republicans have made mistakes when it comes to the Second Amendment in the past. But I really think we're getting to a point where that's not going to happen, hopefully, going forward. I really think we are really pushing back effectively on it for once.
So without my glasses, I can't really see the legend there. What's going on in North Dakota with the different color?
Permitless carry for residents only. So, which makes sense. I'm okay with that too. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I go to North Dakota, I don't know why I shouldn't be allowed to carry a handgun, but kind of dumb. But then again, I mean, I don't know. They're not. People from Illinois might come in there. You don't want that, right? I mean.
So you were showing the Ohio stats back pre-cell phone days, pre-GPS, and all that kind of good stuff. I was traveling for work to Columbus, and so these were the days where you had an atlas and you did your best, and if you had to call somebody, you stopped and hit a payphone. And so I got off trying to get to the hotel. I wasn't sure where I was. And I got on the payphone, called the hotel. And before I could say too much, the guy was like, well, "Where are you calling from?" And I told him, and his exact words were, "Get back in your car right now. Don't question this. Don't say anything else. You get in your car. You drive 2 exits, west, north, east, south, whatever direction it was. Drive 2 exits. Stop, find another phone, and call me from there. But you leave that place now." So I did. but that was like, it's one of the, there's been a few cities where I've been given that kind of advice. Compton, I kind of got that type of advice. um, Mobile, back in the early 90s, Mobile, Alabama, we had police escorts taking us in and out of some of the schools late at night when we were doing some work there. And so it's been, seen some stuff.
So
But what I love to see are stats like that, because you know where I stand on the Second Amendment.
oh yeah, yeah.
I love seeing those kind of stats, and every time, whether it's whatever the Second Amendment win we've had is, if you look at it, the stats always work out in our favor.
Yep, every single time. And it really is a case when they sit there and pull up, actually, you know what? I'm going to pull this one stat up real quick, because even when it comes to other issues that they like to point to, and I'm just going to share this. So this was the crime data from 2011 to 2021. And, when they sit there and talk about, of course, stuff like AR-15s and stuff like that, look at all those deaths from rifles. And so AR-15 is obviously a subsection of all rifles. There's a lot more rifles out there besides AR-15s. Of all rifles, 10 years worth of data, 3,229 deaths. Now, that might sound a lot until you realize, of course, how big of a population we actually have, and this is over the course of 10 years. But what makes it even more interesting, now that this person has highlighted out knives, 15,115. But what I think makes it even more interesting is what also beat it was hammers at 4,248. Now, there was a stat that also came out recently showing that London, on average, has a higher murder rate than the entirety of the United States of America as well. Now, yes, it's a little cherry picking one city versus the entirety of the country, but it does go to show something there, right? That it's not about the fact of having guns accessible to you. It's about the people that you have living in your area. If the people you have living in your area are okay with murdering one another, they'll find a way.
With our U.S. stats, you take out, we can cherry pick here, but you take out just a few gun-free zone leftist cities, and we're one of the safest countries, least gun deaths in the entire world.
Yep, I think it was take out St. Louis, Chicago, and I think it was it was one I wasn't expecting, but I think it was like three or four cities, not even the entire states, obviously, just 3 or 4 cities. And we have a lower gun death rate, or just lower homicide rate, than Spain, France, Italy, England, Ireland, Scotland. Like, we are down. We go from being in the top 5 to the bottom 5 in the world, actually. And all you have to do is remove a few cities out of the hundreds of cities we have in this country.
Yeah, and all those cities are deep blue, gun-free zone cities.
Exactly. So, you say that, all the stats do line up in our favor when it comes to a lot of these things. They really do. It's just, of course, that we don't go by stats. And it was also funny. We also don't.
When they don't, you have to look, because when the stats don't work in the favor, if you look a little deeper, a lot of times they're adding suicide.
Yes.
And they're adding all these things that really don't apply.
When they say gun deaths, they say gun deaths purposely. They don't say gun murders, right? They say gun deaths because close to, it's around like 35 to 40% of all gun deaths in this country are suicides. So when they show this huge number of all these gun deaths, a lot of them are suicides, which means they're going to do it anyway. In fact, if they went to Canada, the government will do it for them. So, because they might the argument of going, well, guns make it easier to commit suicide. While at the same time saying that Canada's okay to sit there and put literal suicide pods like out of Futurama up. I mean, come on.
I'm really not feeling well. Have you considered killing yourself?
There was a veteran who did that, where he was having back problems, and one of the recommendations they gave him was suicide. It just, man, Canada is a terrible, terrible place. But yeah,
so not overall. The Canadian people are wonderful. The real people,
100%.
And I've been to I think 6 different provinces and all around, and I love the people. The country is beautiful. The government and the authorities are ridiculous communists.